Hrant Dink, Patrice Lumumba, and what connects assassinations. This is Two in the Mic.
Dung weche pek kod welo mabiro Two under mic. Dung parodit kod jok mawuoye Two under mic. Seche tin sud buta wawinji Two under mic. Wala wachokre wabed piny bi wawinje ero chako moment ndi Two and a mic podcast makende.
On January 19th, 2007, Hrant Dink was assassinated by a 17-year-old nationalist called Ogun Zamast. He was shot 3 times in the head. Members of the police and gendarmerie decided it was a great opportunity to take a picture with the assassin and the Turkish flag. The photos caused outrage in Turkey. A number of those found responsible were removed from their positions. The assassin served 16 years in prison before being released for good behavior. At Hrant Dink's funeral, over 100,000 mourners marched in protest. As they did so, they took up the chants, "We are all Armenians, and we are all Hrant Dink." To this day, the Armenian genocide remains a controversial topic in Turkey. Many professionals, historians, and progressive non-nationalists acknowledge the fact that the only way Armenians could have been removed from their homes and places of birth, where their families had lived for thousands of years, with such speed, with such organization, and through forced marches, could only have been via a genocide. The men were told they would have to fight in the Ottoman army. They were then separated from the other soldiers and shot. The women, children, and elderly were deported. Thousands died on the way. Rape and murder was common, and thousands more were butchered or burned alive in Deir Zor. Many Turkish families speak of their family legacies of having secretly kept Armenians alive in those days, much like the people in Nazi Germany who helped Jewish families to escape the Holocaust. Despite the refusal of Turkey to accept its role in having planned and orchestrated a genocide, and it being dangerous in some cases to openly broach the topic, the courageous ones who wish to talk of the genocide with a view to opening honest dialogue are often pushed back. The same ugly face of nationalism that prompted the genocide in the first place, and which made a child of 17 think he was being heroic by killing an innocent intellectual, and then a host of police officers and gendarmerie to take a photo with a murderer as though he were a hero, is the very same nationalism we see playing roles of a different variety all around the world today. January 17th is the anniversary of the assassination of Patrice Lumumba in 1961 by Belgium and with presumably US and British support. A leader of his people who wanted to create a future for his country that would sustain and create a firm basis for growth and development, he was cut down by the dark interests of Western neocolonialism, the stain that global capitalism will never rid itself of. The dark interests that use politicians at home to talk of national interests and that they are solely focused on the needs of their countryfolk, but in fact are nothing more than puppets for the imperial elites that run businesses globally, that profit from advancing international hate and intolerance, and who sell war as a concept because there is no money for them in peace. Patrice Lumumba was a good and honest leader. On the day of independence, June 30th, 1960, Belgian King Baudouin he actually praised developments under colonialism and referred to the genius of his great-granduncle Leopold II. He obviously had skipped the part where Leopold had caused the death of millions, or had recommended the limbs of children be chopped off if they didn't work hard enough. Patrice Lumumba didn't shirk his responsibilities, and he didn't hide behind irrelevant and disingenuous diplomacy. He spoke of Congolese independence in the following words. For this independence of the Congo, although being proclaimed today by agreement with Belgium, an amicable country, with which we are on equal terms, no Congolese worthy of the name will ever be able to forget that it was by fighting that it has been won. A day-to-day fight, an ardent and idealistic fight, a fight in which we were spared neither privation nor suffering, and for which we gave our strength and our blood. We are proud of this struggle, of tears, of fire, and of blood, to the depths of our being, for it was a noble and just struggle, and indispensable to put an end to the humiliating slavery which was imposed upon us by force. By setting an example of what it meant to be straightforward and sincere about what the path to independence had entailed, Patrice Lumumba became a target. His words of the sacrifice the people of Congo had made to achieve their freedom were a reminder to them also not to allow themselves to fall once again under the control of international interests. The pain and suffering of the Congolese represented nothing more than the genius of their tormentors. The smug and ignorant words of the Belgian king were nothing more than ignorant and hateful rhetoric. This same rhetoric of hate, anger, and intolerance is what convinces 17-year-old kids to kill peaceful intellectuals who wish to build bridges. It makes soldiers believe that killing the president of a country who is doing good work for his people is somehow a patriotic duty. It makes police and gendarmerie take pictures with a murderer. It makes police brutally attack peaceful protesters who are protesting against genocide. It makes ICE agents shoot innocent and harmless poets in the head. It makes those same agents go door to door in peaceful neighborhoods to forcefully remove them from their homes with the hope that because they are not born in the USA, they might be deported. It makes people attack gay clubs. It makes people think abortions should be illegal. It makes people think women are not equal. This same rhetoric is responsible for the death of millions every year, because after centuries of exploitation, the countries that have stolen and benefited so handsomely from the horrors of their injustice feel they have a right to withhold the spoils of their theft, whether in medical or humanitarian aid, in addition to the continued wars and exploitative policies that they pursue. When peaceful thinkers start to make sense, even to the brainwashed, then they become a danger. When leaders of countries that industrialists have always exploited choose to prioritize their own people ahead of the millions corruption brings, then they threaten profit margins. When movements become so popular they influence consumers, they are labeled by politicians as being unpatriotic or subversive. Yet these same politicians who deny poor communities the protection of law enforcement, who refuse to provide health care to those who need it, who will happily feed shit to the hungry, who will reject climate change in the face of drought and more frequently occurring natural disasters, who will deny women equal status, and who will encourage prejudice against non-white heterosexual men are the ones among whose number you can count pedophiles, rapists, and murderers. These same politicians who claim to be patriotic, yet are the first to turn their backs on the people. If they are not determined to protect the people, then what are they patriotic for? Or who? A building or a flag has no meaning if the people who they were created to serve are dead or dying, suffering and being exploited. An institution is nothing more than stone and mud if it doesn't serve the purpose for which it was built. A flag is meaningless if the leaders who drape themselves in it are criminals. People like Hrant Dink, Patrice Lumumba, Thomas Sankara, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., JFK, and countless others, whether they were politicians or academics, it makes no difference. Had they been allowed to live, they would have carried the voice of hope and togetherness, peace and cooperation, understanding and development to reach beyond the choruses of hate and division, and to break the backs of those forces in the shadows that control governments to generate their profits. And these dark forces, they are not secret cabals or white knights or legendary Templars. They are not Masons or Illuminati or councils of secret monarchs. These are the billionaires, the robber barons, the industrialists, bankers and corrupted elites that have taken advantage of weak monarchs and governments over centuries. They have chosen war to hide their exploitation. They have created chaos to pursue colonialism. They have chosen murder to steal resources. And they have claimed supremacy so they don't have to share services with normal people, and in turn want to encourage the public to enforce other divisions among themselves. We do their bidding at our own cost. We allow their ignorance to force food out of the mouths of our children. Their profiteering takes medicine out of the hands of the sick. Their oil pollutes our world. Their money corrupts. Their dreams disturb. Their policies kill. Yet we not only tolerate them, we use their products, finance their lavish lifestyles, and repost their ignorance with the hope of being noticed. It's time to wake up to the reality and stop listening to hateful rhetoric. We have so much more in common with one another than our puppet politicians would have us believe. This is Two and a Mic. Rise up and be curious. Two and a mic. Two and a mic.